Bonjour and welcome to the DMC's Introduction to Punch Needle. The aim of this video is to explain what punch needle is, give you an overview of the beautiful pieces you can achieve, as well as an introduction to the basic supplies you need to get started. Punch needle is a form of embroidery that uses a tool rather than a traditional needle. It creates a very distinctive loopy texture on one side of the fabric and a flat stitch on the other. You can choose the side you like best to be the front of your work, or flip your work during the stitching process to end up with a mixture of flat and loopy textures on the front. It can be worked with yarns and threads. Punch needle is quite a fast technique and has a very rhythmic, calming motion, so it's a great way to relax. The basic supplies you'll need are fabric. Punch needle is stitched onto fabric with an open weave where it is easy to see the gaps between the threads. For example, a softened punch needle Aida, or for fine punch needle, something like this DMC Percale. If you're just beginning punch needle, softened 11 count Aida is the best choice. Punch needle tool. Punch needles come in a range of sizes. The one I have here today is a number 10 and is perfect for thicker yarns. There are also needles that you can use for finer yarns and threads. Some punch needles are just so that you can vary the length of the loops of your stitches. We'd recommend beginners start with the larger tool and yarn to begin with. Threader. You will need a threader to thread the tool. These might be wire or wooden. An embroidery hoop or frame is essential to hold the fabric taut. These come in a variety of sizes and can be used to display your work once you have finished. Yarn and thread. You can use almost any yarn or thread as long as it flows freely through your tool easily. Combining different threads and yarns really shows off the textures this technique creates. For beginners, it is easier to begin with yarn rather than thread. I'll be using Natura XL. Or for finer projects, you can use Perle. This comes in small, medium, and large. Tapestry needles. These come in a range of different sizes. Use the size that's most appropriate for your thread or yarn. I will be using the number 13 today for the Natura. And finally, you'll need a pattern. DMC has a range of free punch needle designs as part of our 1000 Patterns initiative. Visit dmc.com for more information. I'll be talking you through our Summer Haze pattern today. On the first page, you have a colour chart which indicates which colours you need to use for your design. The second page is your design that you're going to use to transfer your pattern onto the fabric. On the third page, you have your toolkit and your instructions for the different colours. And on the final page, you have your techniques and all the information you need to get started. Let's get started. We're going to begin by transferring your pattern onto your fabric. There are a few ways to do this. I'm going to show you on a light box today, but the easiest way is to tape your pattern to a window and trace it onto your fabric with a pencil or water-soluble fabric pen. And you want to centre your fabric over the top and then trace on using a pen or a pencil. Go all the way round the outline of each part of the design. Continue tracing until all of your design is complete, and don't worry about tracing the outline of your hoop. Next, you want to put your fabric in the hoop so it is nice and taut and secured really tightly. If you separate the hoop and place the inner part flat on a table, place your fabric over the top and try and ensure that your design is centred within the hoop. Place the outer hoop over, push down, and then tighten using the screw. Do this until your fabric is nice and tight in the hoop. Punch needle tools have a hole that runs all the way through the handle and a point shaped like a fountain pen nib. We're going to thread the punch needle in 2 steps. Here is your threader. First, we're going to push the empty threader all the way through and out the bottom. Next, we're going to take the end of the yarn and thread it through the eye in the threader. You may need to twist the end of your yarn to get it to go through the threader. The second step is now to pull the threader up through the punch needle and out the top. Remove the threader, and now you need to thread the eye in the punch needle. Pull the yarn back down. Put the tail of the yarn through the eye in the needle and pull it back through the punch needle. Remove your threader and pull the yarn back down so that just a short tail extends from the tip of the needle. You do not need to knot your yarn with punch needle. The tension of the fabric will hold your stitches in place. With your punch needle, ensure that you have lots of slack on the ball of your yarn and that you don't lean on your yarn as you complete your work. Pull the yarn back so you just have a small tail extending from the needle tip. Hold your punch needle in your dominant hand and ensure that the slot is facing upwards and the small tail is facing downwards. With the punch needle, you want to ensure that you're going all the way down into the fabric to the handle each time to give you nice even size loops, if you are choosing to display the loops on the finished side of your work. With this piece, we're going to display the flat stitches. I'm going to start here and I'm going to push my punch needle down into the fabric. Don't worry, the needle tip will find the hole. Pull it up slowly, just so the tip exits, and I'm moving it forward slightly and pushing it down again. Pulling my needle up slowly, skimming it over the fabric, moving forward and pushing it down again. Now I'm going to turn my work so that my needle is always facing in the direction that I'm punching, and I'm going to move my hoop around. Pushing my punch needle back down. Ensure to keep your stitches close to the existing row so that you're covering all of the foundation fabric. Continue moving around your piece. As you can see with this piece, I've decided to punch all of the motif first, so the stem and the leaves and the flowers, and now I'm completing the background. When you want to come to the end of a row of stitches, you'll need to snip off your yarn. To do this, turn your work over, hold the yarn that's extending from the punch needle, pull your punch needle up and away from your work, and snip off so you have a tail about 4 centimeters long. To ensure that all of these tail ends end up on the loopy side of your work, with your tapestry needle, thread the tail onto the needle and push the end back through the hole, pulling the tail end underneath your work. We hope you've enjoyed this introduction to punch needle. If you think you'd like to try punch needle, we have individual stitch and technique tutorials on our website to help you. DMC also sells lots of kits that will provide you with everything you need to get started. Au revoir!